can't either, especially because it was really important to me to show sex that was not just sexy, because sometimes sex is great and sometimes it's really not, especially at this age when you're still figuring out what sex is and what you like and what you don't like. And I thought,
Steven is really into you. I don't know if he's my type.
I am not someone who gets very excited about things.
Sometimes it feels like I'm watching other people experience things.
Exactly.
Hey, do you want to come out?
No, I'm gonna stay in tonight.
It's working. You're
sorry.
clear and great.
sorry,
Man,
I'm like, well, I don't know. Hey, sorry.
kitchen's looking great, by the way, too.
I should have done the whole background thing where I like change it. I don't know how to do any of that stuff.
I think the kitchen's better than anything. That is one nice kitchen. I'm just imagining all the cooking that's going on there. And it's so like the colors of it. I'm no like, any sort of like a house developer or anything like that, but it looks really good.
Thank you. We love blue. We actually do love our kitchen quite a bit. We were very nerdy when we were kind of designing our house.
It looks cool. I love it. Well,
you.
thanks for joining, Meaghan. I'm super excited I literally talked to everyone involved with the show besides you. So
Really? Oh, funny. Who else have you talked to?
Emma, Kara, the entire cast. I just talked to Lucy last week. Lucy, Grace. I'm already thinking of her as Lucy in my mind.
I call her Lucy too. It's all good.
Yeah, well, there you go. So you're the final piece of the puzzle. I'm so glad because you have no idea. You've created a monster. This show is like taken over my household, like me and my sister. There's an obsession going on. Like,
oh my God, I love it. I know people have had a very personal reaction to it. I'm like, oh God, people have been hurt before. This is striking a chord.
Hey, me and my sister are in a dating world, even though we're like 7 years apart. She's older, but like I told the same thing to Grace. Like, this show is not only about college kids, but you're lucky, Meaghan, that you're married and not having to deal with this. But this is like
I did for years. I mean, I went through all the dating hell before I met my husband. Thank God I met him.
You're so lucky. No, but this still happens. I'm like, oh yeah, these are college kids. Like, no way. There's a lot of these scenarios that are literally happening to me, my friends, my sister. We're all in kind of different age groups too. So show is very current and relevant, even though it's set in the BlackBerry age, a lot of it. But it's amazing how it like transcends to like real life. I've never been that connected to a show like relating to it, that like, oh my gosh, this is literally happening. My sister's like, I deleted his number, I blocked him, but I'm unblocking him, that sort of thing. It just
I'm so sorry that you guys are still dealing with that nonsense. But yeah, it was funny in the writers' room, and honestly the whole process, even when I was interviewing writers to hire them, everyone was like, oh my God, I had a Steven, I had this, I had that. And it's funny how relatable it is to be in these crazy relationships where we completely undermine ourselves.
Right.
So or at least we've seen a friend be in one of them,
right.
But it's disturbing how relatable I guess it is for everyone.
It's crazy, and it's kind of, it's concerning in a way too. But like, this is the day and age now, I feel like, even more so because of the swiping and the casualness of dating, and it just like it's kind of out of control, in a lot of ways too. And people feel like they can get away with anything. That's the thing. I feel like there's no accountability with dating these days because a lot of it's impersonal. It is sort of like virtual or whatnot. It's not as face-to-face as it might have been years ago. You had to go to a bar, you had to go to a location to meet someone, and you couldn't kind of do these things. But yeah, people get away with things, I guess. And it's kind of sad that this happens to everyone in a relatable way.
Yeah, it is sad. I'm glad not to be doing it anymore.
Yeah, you're very lucky. You're just creating a story for all of us, based on experiences in that way.
Seriously. No, it's been very fun though, kind of reliving the trauma.
But the show's very addictive in that sense too. Like, I'm watching in a weird way. My sister's a binger, so she's probably already watched it today, since the new episode popped. I'm in episode 5. I'm like squeezing it like a lemon. I can't like binge it. I give myself like once a week to watch an episode to take it in. And so like it doesn't end to me quick enough. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's so funny. So you've only seen up till 5.
Yes. And by choice, because
Wow.
obviously we were by 9, and my sister's like caught up with it. She's like, you need to watch this. What are you doing? But
Yeah,
I
you're
need to take
crazy.
this show in. Like for me, an episode is an experience, almost sort of a thing, you know? And you take it all in and just kind of soak on it, you know, and think about it. Like,
I do think that's why it's been fun to have it be week to week and
mhm,
not binge all at once, because there is that I'm seeing it on social media because I'm getting so many comments. The conversation, it gives it time to marinate
to
for
simmer.
people, and
Yes.
to have a conversation about it before the next,
Hmm.
chunk of bullshit happens.
Yeah, and it gives you something to look forward to that Wednesday or whatnot, you know, that it's going to release, and that
Yeah.
anticipation. I wish a lot of like even streaming TV, I think it's happening more now a little bit that we're getting episodes in chunks, not just everything at once. When it like kind of started out, it was just like, here's a whole season.
Yeah.
It's good to kind of take that and you know, take everything in, and it gives it more lasting appeal too in that way.
Oh, I'm glad you think that. Yeah, there's been a lot of people feel very strongly one way or the other. A lot of people are really pissed that it's not all episodes at once, but
Mm,
I like
interesting.
watching TV in stages. I think it's
Yeah.
fun. It
Yeah,
reminds
it's
me of
like
when I was a kid, and that's what you had to do, you know?
exactly. And you know, and yeah, you come back to it. There's always that tie-in next week. You know, you're ready to take in more of that, because I think all this at once, I don't know, it might be too much to handle. You know, like this kind of show, what happens, it would be mind-blowing if this was all like binged in like 2 days. You know, there's too much intense feelings going on there too.
Yeah. Yeah, you might have to check out. Also, when I watch something all at once, I find that even though I'm really in it in the moment, a few weeks later, I can't remember any of it because I
Mhm.
watched it all so quickly, and it's like it just kind of goes in and comes out. And but when I watch something week to week, I remember it a lot better. So that's what my favorite show recently was Yellow
Okay.
Jackets.
Oh,
Yellow
that's
Jackets was
amazing.
so good. Oh,
Hmm.
I loved waiting for every episode. It was so fun to have to wait, even though it was so frustrating at the same time. So
The
yeah,
cliffhangers. Remember the old days of cliffhangers where you like purposely have sitcoms and shows like reel you in next week, you know, that sort of thing. We lost that in a bit.
totally, totally.
Yeah, that's a good choice right there. Yellow. I love that show too.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it so much. I've got everyone in I was talking to my brother. I was like, no, you'll like it. He was like, what is it? I was like, it's a bunch of teenage girls eating each other on an abandoned island. And he's
Right.
like,
Hard to
like
explain, but
cannibalism.
yeah, hard to
It's so
explain, but
good.
once you watch it, you're hooked.
It's so good. It's so good, that show. God.
I love how you started the show. The show kind of starts episode 1. It's like I felt like episode 1 to like 2 is like changed. Episode 1's like you know, someone dies and it's like, oh, what's gonna happen? Episode 2 starts changing differently. By episode 3, it's almost a different show. I remember I was like spending a night at my mom's, and in the evening, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna catch up on the show. And I went to the kitchen and I kind of was running for a little bit. And like I hear like a character moaning and stuff. I'm running back to like mute it. I'm like, my mother's gonna think I'm watching porn at her house, you know, because
I
it was just like
know.
it surprised me how intense it got so quick, you know, with these characters. And I spoke
Yeah.
to the actors about it. Make it, we don't see this on television. Like sex is done just like kind of like it just done. It was done in movies and shows over years just to show something. But I've never seen a show as dependent on the characters as sex is. Like you literally couldn't probably do the show without showing this, because it transforms into what happens to them and how their psyches are affected and everything. How important was it for you in the beginning to illustrate even to the actors too, like, hey, we're gonna have to go to some deep waters here, you know, and bare your soul and your, in a sense, body in that way too, to project this, because it's really, I can't imagine a show without it in a weird way now watching it further on.
No, it was always really important to me. The book had a lot of sex, and I thought that, when you're in this kind of relationship and having these feelings, both physical and emotional, for the first time, it's so intoxicating. And so it was really important to me for us to feel everything that Lucy is going through. And we forget how powerful that is. Like the first time someone else makes your body feel a certain way.
Right.
And when you're 18 and or however old, and Lucy's 18, but when it's never happened before, it can really get under your skin and make you confused about how you actually feel about the person. But also I think that sex is, it's such a part of a relationship. There's so much more to sex than just sex. There's the
Mhm.
power dynamics, there's this, there's that, there's so many conversations happening within sex that are, it's just not with words. And so it was really important to me. And yeah, when I was casting all the actors, we had conversations with all of them about this. Is obviously, everyone had read the pilot, so they knew there was at least some sex. And I was like, there's obviously a lot of sex. What is your comfort level with that? But there was never a point where anyone was forced to do anything they didn't want to do at all. Every actor established their own boundaries, and it would change scene to scene. With some scenes they felt more comfortable doing this, with some scenes they were less comfortable doing certain things, and we just always respected the boundaries that they set. But yeah, it's just a huge part of the show. I can't imagine it without it either,
Yeah,
honestly. And
it would be a whole different show. Like in the beginning, I'm like, oh, okay, because a lot of shows, sometimes you just cut away. But if you cut away from this, it's like you're losing out on what's happening to these characters and why they're affected by these things. It would have, I think, kind of like just completely change the perspective of what's going on. You wouldn't be as invested as in these characters because you understand like how certain characters are getting used by someone, or just the way the manipulation happens too. It's a lot through the sex too. So I felt like that was a bold choice to do that and go for it, and it completely changed the dynamic of the show. I can't even imagine how it would have been without it.
yeah, I can't either, especially because it was really important to me to show sex that was not just sexy,
Mhm.
because sometimes sex is great and sometimes it's really not, especially at this age when you're still figuring out what sex is and what you like and what you don't like. And I thought it was really important to have, some really uncomfortable sex scenes also, and some ones that
Yeah.
aren't hot at all, that are just a little disturbing or a little upsetting, because that's also how sex is sometimes. You're at your most vulnerable. So
Yeah, it's not linear, and it's different for everyone else too. And I feel like, and I love the fact too, sometimes obviously kind of Lucy and Steven are the main characters and it's still told from kind of Lucy's perspective, but I loved how you gave every character a shine here. Like everyone matters in a sense. Everyone not only is tied in, but they get their own story too to be told. And on a show, it's tough sometimes to do it. I have a 45 minutes or so, but you've done such a good job managing and getting everyone in a sense in the game, and giving them their own story, their own kind of perspective. Like everyone sort of matters here. They're just not supporting actors or characters. They're all an ensemble in such a good way. I felt like I thought it was just really good way of giving each character a purpose and their own story.
thank you so much. I'm so glad you liked that. It was
Mhm.
it's so hard when you're dealing with such a large cast to give
Right.
everyone the time that they deserve. And I still feel like, God, I wish we could have had more of this character or that character. And we were very conscious of wanting to stay in Lucy and Steven's point of view for the first season, except for, every character gets an episode where you're able to break away with them outside of Lucy and Steven. And I think something else that we really liked that we were playing with was, you only know what you know about people. You only see the parts of their story that they're showing to you. And
Right.
especially, the show's called Tell Me Lies. It's about a lot of lying, and the way that we lie to our friends as well, and the way that we lie to ourselves about who we are and what we do. And so I thought it was really fun to be able to dip into a character's story and then maybe not explain it again. We see some stuff that Wrigley's dealing with in episode 3, and then we don't go back to that storyline, but we're with his friends in other episodes and with him, and we know that that's going on behind the scenes,
Mhm.
but it's not brought into the conversation with them because it's something that he keeps to himself. And same with like Pippa's stuff and Bree. They're all so much of the show is about miscommunication and what we don't say to each other. So it was really fun to explore their stories in that way and just kind of drop in and out of their private lives.
And as we're watching, we know it's still happening in the background. Like the comebacks, there's certain things you come back to, like, oh, it happened a few episodes, but like ago, but it's still relevant, still happening in this world, of there. So wow, I love this show. Is there potential for more? I know it's based on a book. Is there more to this, or like a spin-off of these characters?
I mean,
I told Grace, I'm like, maybe did you want to view like at Lucy at 45 years old, or something like that in the
I mean,
future.
we wrote it with a season 2 in mind. You never know what's going to happen. It depends on a million things. We're really hoping for season 2.
I love
It
that.
depends on, hopefully if people keep watching the next couple weeks and the audience is good and supportive, then I think a season 2, knock on wood, is very likely. But I think people will be upset if there isn't one based on the finale, because I just blow everything up in it and we leave a lot of things unanswered. And I think it'll be really frustrating for people if we don't answer those questions. So
There's got to be. We have to make it happen. I know my sister's like, I'm going to be going through withdrawal next Wednesday, all that stuff. So
tell people to watch for sure. I mean, we've
yeah,
had a really good response so far, and we just have to keep the momentum. It's
no
so hard
question.
for a show that is not we're not a big action show. We're not like fantasy or vampires or a lot of murder. And we have a very young, amazing cast, but relatively unknown. And so it was always sort of like the little show that could, because so much of TV is so sensational now. And so there's so much event television, and everything has an Academy Award winner in it, so
Mhm.
it was a risk, this show, but Hulu has been so amazing. Like really, really just such creative, supportive executives over there. And 20th as well. So fingers crossed.
Absolutely. Fingers crossed. I mean, terrific job. I've seen some of your previous work and I'm just thrilled you made this come to life. And I hope there's more. I'm doing whatever I can. I did a video review that I'm going to be posting too. So hopefully publish that and get some reviews about this show and all the interviews I've done. And I've gotten great responses. There's been tons of people checking them out. So there's definitely a fan base there. And I'm definitely spreading the word because I just love a show that you can really connect that feels so raw and real. And that's what you don't get much in the age of superheroes. It's good to have something that we can in our real life relate to in good or bad ways, but it hits you and affects you in a different way. So
So much. Did you talk to Kara?
I did. Yeah.
Isn't she just the funniest person you've ever met in your
She
life?
is great.
She
I've talked
is
to Emma previously multiple times, but I had them on together. They're so fun. I'm glad they worked
they're
together on this and they worked previously together. It's a great partnership.
they're wonderful. I've had such a good time with we have a lot of fun doing this show. I mean, there's a lot of laughter, a lot of yeah, it's a lot of fun, and we've got a great group. It's nice to work with people that you want to see every day. You know what I mean? It's not always the
Absolutely.
case, it's not always the case, but we've got great people in this. So
That's the key to it. You have great people involved and you found phenomenal actors. I think we're gonna know a lot of these names going forward for sure. I think
they're
Grace is an
incredible, right?
absolute star and yeah, Jackson. I mean, just all these actors, I can totally see them getting a huge response going forward, and they should because they're really talented and the boldness that they displayed and the go for it mentality. I just thought it was phenomenal all around. So
They were all amazing. It's so nice to work with actors that really want to be there every day and that care so much about it. And it's nice when you're working with a younger cast, everyone's so excited to be there and they're not like jaded and checked out yet, like maybe some older people would be. And I'm so proud of all of them. I thought they did a fucking amazing job.
they
I
were.
mean, we got so lucky. They're all so good. I mean,
I
they're
almost can't imagine this being recast now. Like I'm like, no, Grace is Lucy.
oh yeah.
Absolutely. Jackson is
Oh,
Steven. Like it's a different show with one of them flipped out, or even some of the other even actors too. So
totally. I agree. Yeah. No, they're definitely the characters to me.
absolutely. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk. Yeah, I've been really excited to talk to you. Every week when I had someone to talk to about the show, I was just like geeked out about it because I'm just such a fan of it too. And it's great to be a fan and kind of share that experience of watching it with the people who were behind it. So fantastic work. I
Well,
hope there's
thank
a
you so
season two.
much. Me too. I can't wait for you to watch the next 5 because shit gets crazy. Like
My sister's been
number
already
5 turning point.
I I can't. I mean, I'm ready for everything at this point because it just keeps on turning up more and more. So I'm ready for it.
Awesome.
Let's do
Thank
this
you
again
so
soon,
much.
Megan.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon. Thank you for watching
Absolutely.
the show.
Always. Bye-bye.
Bye.